Welcome back to the Peter H channel. I call it the Peter H channel, it's just Peter H. And it's time for that Land Rover update. Alright, starting up front here, that damn iron. It's pretty well as good as I can get it, and so all of this underside doesn't look like a perfect weld, does it? But, try knocking it out with a hammer. Could be there all day. So this is all patched up now, nice. I like it. Considering that's as good as I can get it. I want to be coming in here with the wire brush, and while it's in this position I'll have to paint it like this, because once it's re-flipped it won't be very easy to paint under there properly. So decide what we're going to do with this exactly. Probably should put a bit of grease on that, really. Could definitely give that a clean. Okay, coming along. There was a bit there. Made sure that outrigger's all right. That was a new hole we found on this outrigger. That was a bulkhead outrigger on the left side. Put some rust converter down here. We found some new holes here, which were done. Already knew about this. That shape is a bit odd. It's supposed to be like that. Right down here, this is the last part of this large hole that was preventing us painting this. Found a new hole here which we've dealt with. We could probably get the grinder out and make that nice and smooth, ready for the fuel tank. So that's like the last hole of the major half of the chassis. In this position it'll be easier to paint it and get in there with a wire brush. There was something going on here which I've sort of dealt with, half dealt with. And that's all done, that's nice. Thinking about just welding this up now, rather than slitting it and rebuilding it, just patching it. Okay, and then that brings us into this right hand rail is the worst part. So I think what I'm going to do is start by patching here from the inside and then blob welding it up. Although I think that's a drain hole. So that's awkward, and that's a very awkward repair. It's on a curve. Once we get this one done, we've got to slit it here. Ooh, repair the chassis. Ooh, new thing there. Ooh, right. And like this. Now it's going to be harder just to slit it here, and this is really thick, hard stuff to cut, and that's interesting. So we could do it in two parts here, using that as a bridge. Okay. So it's loads of things to think about there. That's actually needs repair. And then here, this is long and troublesome. Well, we're going to do it in two halves. So that means cutting that out, putting a patch in, and then putting the patch in right to the end. And at the moment, it's totally non-extant. So we're probably going to put new side bits in as well, and a new top bit. But I have to put the new top bit in when I've flipped it back round, because at the moment the top is looking like the bottom. Might be able to repair a bit of it from the inside, which is going to be helpful. But if we're cutting that top bit off completely, as long as we remember the form, the bottom form, we can pretty well make that into any shape that we want. So there's another hole here. These drain holes have got to be patched up. Each one of these drain holes on that rear cross member isn't looking very pretty, which is a bit of that's going to be time consuming and not particularly productive, but that's what we have to do. Some of these drain holes, they're not, I'm just going to patch them and not bother to, they haven't done a very good job, have they? Although, it's difficult to see sometimes what is a patch hole and what isn't, or what is a drain hole, sorry. And then we want to get this off, of course. And then that's it. We can just paint the chassis, flip it back over. Okay, so from where the Land Rover chassis was, I've lifted it up and put it over onto these builder's trestles. The Land Rover chassis is as stripped down now as it's going to be, and the steering relay unit is still in. Had a lot of rain lately. I have removed the dust guard that goes around there, and earlier I tested this with a spring balance and it's fine. Another thing that's in here is the frame harness is still in place with some extra wires that I've put in there. That's in place. I could have took it out and just left a piece of string, but we were doing some fairly serious welding, and if the string breaks it's hard to refred it, especially when we've welded it up. Which, talking of welded up, had a lot of rain lately and haven't had any rust converter or protection on this. The rear cross member is off now. I'll probably put some footage in of me removing the rear cross member. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a hurry now to get this off. There's not a lot to really discuss, except we're still welded along the bottom. Okay, the bottom of the cross member, and it's difficult to get to because of this large box section part of the cross member. So I'll probably just try and slid it along there, and then it's really just held on by a piece here. But it's very easy to get sidetracked and to start cutting bits that you don't really want to. This is another exploratory hole. Again, it's still attached. Oh no, it isn't. I've cut that bit off. It's still attached somewhere. I tried various slits, but I think I've really got to concentrate on this side now. We've just got to, break it down. Right, it looks a bit extreme. Okay, because there was a piece of angle welded here, and I've taken it out. I didn't like it, didn't like the way that was done. So I've got to really get the grinder out and really start again. Now, this is the worst section of what I'm going to do is take it from here right up to the datum, which is out here somewhere actually, because this has been cut off, although it might actually measure correctly because this has got the correct form. I need to make a note. You can see it clearly on the other side if I zoom in. That form is genuine chassis shape. Okay, I kind of thought it would be square at the back, but it isn't. It forms up like that. Be nice to have a picture of one. So there's all kinds of residual weld marks on this side. They're not extant on the other side, so I guess these are extra to what we need. Anyway, so the worst part of it is coming along here. It looks like it's about 40 centimeters, about 400 mil. Yeah, a good 16-17 inches. And yeah, we can do that in 2 parts. Okay, so it's looking pretty rough at the back, but there's nothing here that can't be fixed. Yeah, this is the bit that's measuring 980 off the 1000, so these bits might genuinely be far enough out. I've got to change them up because they've been bent, bent up. That could be a residual weld on the outside, or it might have been welded back together, I don't know. But on the important side, my supports are intact and everything around the supports is good. Here's part of that angle that I've just cut off. I'm going to grind that down. Now these parts, as part of that square that's supposed to be here, let's go over to the other side. There they are. There's that. Now I could grind that flat and and start again. But I want to leave enough of that so that I know where to put the replacement part, which is a square of metal that connects to the rear cross member. So I can obviously grind that down. Maybe that's it. So no, that's definitely on top. So we'll leave a bit of this, a scar of that, so I know where I'm at. Likewise on this side, I'm going to leave a scar of this so that we know where we are. So yeah, just to recap, the chassis is now as stripped down as it's going to be. It's minus the rear cross member, still some patches and some repairs to do. It's unpainted at the moment, the frame harness is still in. It's an interesting dent there, isn't it? It did spend some time in a scrapyard and it was moved around with a forklift truck, and so I think that's probably a scar from there. Incidentally, I did turn this over onto these single-handedly. So I removed the tub single-handedly and I turned this over onto the doors trestle single-handedly. And it's stripped down, minus the steering relay can stay in because that's functional. I was really impressed with when I took the shock absorbers off to see this original finish still here and on the other side as well. That's really good. And it might have been painted since it was new, because there is a paint run there. Anyway, so there was quite a lot of extensive damage on these rear rails. Now, from the centre of the rear axle, which is dimension C in the manual, it's 1,000 millimeters, and that's what I've got to here, 1,000 millimeters. So waiting for some metal to arrive and we'll get on with this. Got a couple more holes, had to reinforce these drain holes and find the odd hole, had the odd hole here. Now patching up the reinforcing straps, there's still some reinforcing to go on here. The reinforcing strap on this is from this chevron, and the reinforcing strap goes all the way to this pointed chevron here, this arrow. So I've got to cut this piece out, for example, cut it out, repair the chassis and put the strengthening patch back on. I might show a picture of what the inside of the chassis looked like. It was actually remarkably good. Like I say, I was talking to a guy, and you know, if the chassis is sort of 90%, 80%, 70% good even, if you have to pay someone to take it away, you know, by the time you started to repair it, it's probably worth trying to save these, because they do have details that the replacements don't have, and the replacements, you know, a bit prohibitive for some people. So here's a dumb iron. That's fully repaired now. It's supposed to look like that. This is a drain hole. Have a look at the other one. You have a drain hole. So my MIG welding technique has changed from here. I did this one upside down. I've come back and redone it since then. So having the chassis up in this position enables for an easier technique than welding upside down. This was an early repair as well, much more blobby kind of affair. I've also gone over that and it's been rained on. And here's one of the rear suspension front shackle outriggers with some rust converter on there in places. again, a lot of the welding was done before I'd flipped the chassis over. I haven't actually touched that. You can't flip the chassis over unless you're sure all the outriggers are good. Okay, it will stand on its side at 90 degrees. It's now at 135 degrees. So what we've got here is there should be a drain hole here, and in a lot of cases the drain hole gets a build up. You've got to go over your drain holes with a screwdriver or something to keep them all clear, otherwise they keyhole out. For example, it should look a little bit like this, but it started to keyhole at the bottom there. And this is where this welding, I did this upside down actually. So that's a bit. So, you know, it's improving and learning all the time, really. This is the last main issue, this side here, this leg. And then to put the rear cross member on, we'll be rotating the chassis back onto a level, sort of won't put it on at this angle. It'll have to be on stands again. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I know there's not much information going on barring what we've got up to. Maybe not. I don't know now. Right, well, thanks for watching. And stay tuned for more updates, I suppose. It's not exciting videos. It's upsetting me that these are not exciting videos. It could be more exciting. The thing is, you do a bit and then you do another bit. I should video it really, but there would be a lot of footage, so it's difficult to square having not a lot of footage and a lot of footage.